as deep as I could possibly dig. And this is the best I could do in terms of being as conservative as I could possibly be. I've taken Elon's numbers and cut them in half. So I'm projecting based on half of his expectations. I've cut my margins everywhere across the board, and I've taken out all aspects of FSD, taken out Dojo. Well, anyway, take a look with me and see what you think. Can you get it any lower than this for 2030? This is Randy Kirk. Please hit like if this is content that helps you, amuses you, makes you feel better, or in some cases worse, but at least energizes you in one way or another. Hit the subscribe button. Please hit notify. And down below in the description, I've given you a whole list of upcoming programs. I think you're going to like a lot of these interviews that I've got coming up. And then, of course, down there, you'll also see there's an opportunity to sign up for my Patreon. And that would be wonderful if you would do that. Okay, let's jump into the numbers. The worst case, the most conservative, even if the competition is successful. Okay, here we go. So let's start with cars. So Elon says 20 million cars in 2030. So I'm saying 10 million cars in 2030. Since they won't have FSD, we will have a normal mix of cars. So we'll have a lot of the brand new $25,000 cars, whatever you want to call them. But some of those will be 30 because they'll have additional stuff on them. We'll have the bigger cars. We'll have cyber trucks, and some of those will be decked out. We'll still have Model S and Model X. So when you count all of it together, I'm saying instead of the 47 to 50,000 that we're currently looking at, I'm saying 35,000 average selling price. I think that's conservative, don't you? Put it in the comments below if you think I should go lower than $35,000 in the selling price. I cut the total number in half too to 10 million. Yes, it's possible that the competition will be so much better than Tesla by that time that Tesla cars will no longer sell. I don't think that's going to happen. I'll tell you a couple of the assumptions that I make here in a second about all this. Oh, in fact, it's the very next thing on my list. This assumes that Tesla is still world-class in design, still world-class in safety, still world-class in performance, and world-class in manufacturing. So I don't see in 7 years where they're going to lose that status. Does that mean nobody else will do a good job? Does that mean that maybe Mercedes or BMW or Kia, maybe even Toyota or General Motors or Ford, or maybe a brand new company we don't even know yet will come along and make really great cars? Yes, but it also assumes that so will Tesla, and it also assumes that there'll be massive demand for electric vehicles, that S-curve is going to happen. If you take that away, yes, the numbers can go a lot lower. We could be talking about half this number of cars. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think every evidence is that we're going to 100% electric over the very near term. I'm saying 2027, make it 2030, make it 2032. They would still sell 10 million cars in 2030. All right, so now 35,000 times 10 million is 350 billion in sales. That would make them one of the largest companies in history, like number 2, I think, in sales, or 3 in sales of any company that's existed up till this time. And then multiply that times just 20% profit. Now that 20% profit is assuming all the stuff I set up above, but it assumes that the competition's awfully good by then. So we're going to say 20% profit. I don't think it'll be that low, but let's use 20%. So that would be a $70 billion profit. Now, by that time, they'll have about 80 million cars on the road, and I'm going to assume that they're going to earn $1,000 per car from all aftermarket aspects. What would that be? That would be insurance. That would be filling up at superchargers. That would be software as a service on the computer. That would be repairs. That would be accessories. And there's more. Okay, I'm assuming $1,000 per car at 80 million cars on the road. So that would be, and that's profit. So that some of those prices will be more, but the cost of goods would be very low on all of this. So I'm saying that's another $80 billion in profit. Is that right? Yes, $80 billion in profit. So that for cars, the two combined would give us $150 billion in profit just for the sexy lineup, plus the new cars that are coming and the Cybertruck. All right. So that's number one. So that's a total of $150 billion in profit. Okay, let's go to energy. So Elon says he wants to have 1 terawatt of energy products being produced each year, starting by 2030. I'm saying, okay, cut that in half, a half a terawatt instead of a full terawatt. No idea how it's going to be that low because he says the TAM is unlimited, and we can see that the ramp on this is going to be easy, but lots of things could change. The competition might be really good, or maybe there is supply issues. All right. So we're saying, and this is a combination. This is both Megapacks and Powerwalls, and there might be some other sizes of the product that'll be coming along in the meantime. So you're not 100% sure. I'm also going to keep, for this test, I'm going to use 20% margins instead of 30 or 35% margins, which I think is more realistic. So now what would that be? Well, that would be 150 billion in sales and $30 billion in profit. On top of that, however, there's going to be arbitrage. There's going to be software licenses. There's going to be maintenance contracts, and there's going to be upgrades. And there will be a very large installed base by now. I didn't figure out what the installed base might be because it's really kind of hard to know at this point. And I also don't know how to figure out how much per kilowatt hour all of those services that Tesla will be providing will provide for them. I'm going to say 10 billion. That's it. Just 10 billion total. I think it's a lot more than that, but I think that's a real low number. I don't think the 10 billion is going to get in the way of this being a conservative estimate. And if you want to take it out completely, I'm fine with it. So it would give us 40 billion for our energy. The number 3 grouping, which I used in my video yesterday, if you want to go take a look at the hyperbull case, if you want to take this will be completely out dojo. Nothing, zero, zip. So Elon decides it has no competitive advantage. So basically, they just use Dojo for internal purposes, and that's all they do. All right, so that's zero. Next is semi-trucks. I think they'll do 1 million by 2030 per year. That would be 25% market share. Elon has not made any mention of a goal on this. So the only goal he's given us is 40,000 next year. Well, if they do 40,000 in 2024, let's even say it's 40,000 by 2025. It's kind of hard for me to imagine that they couldn't get to 200,000 by 2030. I mean, that would be a pretty slow ramp, and that would assume they don't really care about it. I mean, seriously. And the semi-truck has way more advantages for the environment, way more advantages for overall issues for consumers than the regular cars do. So I think 200,000 is a very low number. You can put in the comments below if you think, Randy, you're smoking something weird in order to get to 200,000. Okay, it may be. I think they'll be selling for an average of 350,000. Some will have more goodies on them than others. I think it'll be 350,000. I'm going to put 300,000 in this analysis just to be conservative. You can put a lower number if you like. Let me know what that number would be. So 300,000 per truck, 200,000 per year. That's 60 billion in sales. I'm going to say 25% margins. I think that's reasonable for that industry. So that would give us at least $15 billion in profit. That doesn't count, of course, FSD, which would be huge when it comes to semi-trucks. That doesn't count maintenance. That doesn't count repairs. That doesn't count accessorization. That doesn't count charging at stations. Nothing else, just $15 billion in profits for semi-trucks for the hardware. So there's a lot more there. I'm not even going to add it in. Okay, number 5, robots. Well, as we said yesterday in the previous video, robots are going to be massive moneymakers. I've really reduced my numbers for this, okay? So, and they don't require FSD to be solved. They will work right now. I'm telling you, you could put one of those things in a factory today and you could get useful work out of it. By the time they're up and running, these things will get lots of useful work without FSD. Now, if FSD is completely solved, that just makes the robots more successful. So I'm saying no sales in 2024. Of course, I think they'll sell 1 million in 2024. So none in 2024, only 500,000 in 25, 1 million in 26, 2 million in 27, 3 million in 28, 5 million in 29, and finally 7 million in 30. That would mean that in 2030, they'll have about 20 million units in use. None of these will be sold. All of these will be leased. If they are sold, there will also be some kind of annual licensing that they'll be paying. I don't think they'll be sold. I think they'll all be leased. And I'm saying that they will lease them out at least 40,000 in profit per year. So at 40,000, and every factory will buy them at 40,000. I mean, there's nobody that would turn that down. That's like one employee, less than one employee per year. And you've got basically 4 employees, just assuming it only works at the same speed as a typical employee. So it could really be looked at as more like 5, even 6 employees, probably. But $40,000 a year, easy money, $40 in profit. I actually had to multiply this one out and get the number. But anyway, 40,000 to make sure I was right. 40,000 in profit times 20 million in use is $800 billion in profit. Okay, so now we added up 150 billion for cars, 40 billion for energy, 15 billion for semis, bots, 800 billion. That's 1 trillion in profit before taking out overhead, taxes, but it doesn't count the other divisions. It doesn't count other products that might come along between now and then, like heat pumps. It doesn't count IRA benefits. It doesn't count special revenues from any other source. It doesn't count interest income. I mean, there's so many things it doesn't count. 1 trillion in profit in 2030 in the most horrible, worst case. Competitors are lined up. Competitors are doing great. Everybody's doing fine. Lots and lots of stuff happening, but we miss all of Elon's expectations by half. We still come up with 1 trillion in profit in 2030. 1 trillion in profit times 20 multiple, 20 trillion worth, 20 trillion worth divided by shares. Anyway, you can do the rest of the math. It would be worth 20 times what it was at its peak. That's an easy way to do it. So 20 times 360. 20 times 360 is, you got it, it's $7,200 a share. Okay, well, you know what? Again, I'm calling on you. Please help me in the comments. Tell me that there's some of these numbers that need to be cut. Obviously, the big one is bots. But I've talked to all these robotics experts now, and the bots are coming. It's going to happen. So that's 800 billion of the number. But remember, this entire analysis assumes that FSD has not been solved in 2030, that there's no robotaxis. So I don't know how I can get much lower because bots are coming and there's no way they're going to make less than this. So, all right, comments, let me know, like, subscribe, hit the notifications, go down there, find my subscription where you can subscribe to my Patreon. It's only $5 a month, and it's been great talking to you.
Click the link below to get your paperback, Kindle, or audiobook now.